Hey guys, and welcome to August YA Book Club video. Sorry it's a little late. I've been having technical difficulties trying to argue with my camera and get it to work. But let's go ahead and get started. So we are still in summer reading. You can get your reading records through August 31st, and then you'll have until September 22nd to turn them in. Remember, anything you've read since June is fair game, and you just have to read 6 things to fill out a record. So definitely call, get your records, get them in, because you know we always have cool prizes. Now that that's out of the way, I wanted to get to it before I forgot. Let's go on to this month's book picks. Now, I told you last month that we were doing graphic novels, and I have quite a few for you. Some a little more interesting than others. Some a little creepy that may have given me a few nightmares. I scare easily though, so let's jump right in. Our first one is called Animus, and it is by Antoine Revoy. This takes place in Japan, which is kind of fun. It's got kind of the Japanese style art. It's not a manga because it reads like a Western book, which is good because it always takes me a little bit to figure out how to read manga. But it follows 2 kids as they find a haunted playground and try to figure out how to unhaunt it. Very interesting. The kid in the picture is a ghost and he is wearing a mask, and it's kind of creepy. This is one of the ones that left me a little weirded out afterwards, but it was pretty interesting. If you like kind of creepy things, you'll like this, and it plays a lot on Japanese mythology, which was really fun. Our next book is called Nimona, and it is by Noelle Stevenson. This is a fantasy. Takes place like in a pseudo-medieval time sort of thing. Nimona is a very impulsive young shapeshifter, as you can see. And then we have Lord Blackheart and Sir Goldenloin, which is one of the weirdest names I've come across in some books. But, you know, there are a few weirder. Essentially, Lord Blackheart is a supervillain, and Nimona is his self-professed minion and student. And they essentially just wreak havoc for, it's called the Institution of Law Enforcement, which Sir Goldenloin works for. And then along the way they find out maybe the Institute isn't so nice and shiny as people think. A little bit of science, a little bit of magic, a whole lot of mayhem. It was a really fun read. And the art style is one of my favorites. I love this sort of sketch with bright colors and so much fun. Now we are on to Hatter, The Looking Glass Wars, Volume 1. This is by Ben Templesmith and some other people. They always put the label over names, and I'm not good enough to figure it out, and I probably should have looked this up beforehand, but it's besides the point. So this is a take on Alice in Wonderland instead of the story we know and maybe love. Instead, Wonderland is a different realm, which is the same, and the Hatter is maybe not mad. He is a bodyguard. His hat is some sort of technological weapon, and he is in our world looking for Princess Alice, who disappeared after her mother died. It's a little confusing, I'm not going to lie, which is in vain with the original story, let's all be honest. The art style is very interesting too. As you can see, it's like a lot of blurred lines. There's not really harsh lines in it. Usually the pages and scenes are sort of like this, where it's same color, just different shades. I forget what that's called. I know there's a technical term. Don't at me. It is interesting. I kind of want to get the second one just to figure out what's going on. I feel like this kind of just lays the groundwork, and I'm hoping like maybe the second one would pick up, but like already there's little bits of things that are like, this could be pretty cool. If you like Alice in Wonderland, this is probably a fun take for you. on to another one of the ones that kind of kept me up at night. This one's called Baltimore, the Plague Ships. So the main character is Sir Henry Baltimore. He was a soldier in World War I, and now he is trying to fight, essentially, it's plague zombies around the world, and he's trying to find the creature that started all of this. It's kind of gory, I'm not gonna lie, and again, kind of creepy. But also kind of cool because it's that sort of almost steampunky thing where, you know, it's after World War I, but there's still some technology, and the artwork's really good. It's lots of dark colors in this one, mostly blacks and reds and whites, not a whole lot of other colors, but it's very interesting. I mean, if you like sort of scary, creepy things, you'll probably like this, and it's another one where, like, this one kind of lays the groundwork and sets up stuff. I feel like the second one would be a little bit more interesting because now that the groundwork is laid, you can really get into the storyline. It's the only problem with some of these. Alright, the next two are both like Greek mythology and sort of thing. The first one is a graphic novel version of the Odyssey by Homer. It's a very interesting art style, sort of sketch sci-fi-y, like it takes the Odyssey and kind of makes it sci-fi in pictures, if not necessarily in what happens. I'm not gonna lie, I found this one really hard to get through. I forgot how long the Odyssey is, and this does go into quite a bit of the detail. So if you're studying the Odyssey, like in your English class or something, this might be a great resource to kind of help you follow along, because sometimes reading the actual Odyssey is a little confusing, and we'll not talk about the movie, but it is interesting. I feel like it was pretty true to form. So again, if you've got it in English class or you just really like this kind of thing, this might be for you. The next one is part of a series about Greek gods. This one is on Hera, who is, you know, queen of the gods. It was pretty interesting. The fun part about mythology is there's different versions of the same stories. This one actually introduced some things that I had not read before, despite my great love for Greek mythology. And I like that it kind of delves into the character of Hera, and you also learn a little bit about Heracles. And just, like, for once, she's the good guy. She's the one you're rooting for and you like, instead of, usually they make her out to be the bad guy. And, like, Zeus is just this happy-go-lucky, I do what I want kind of guy, and she's the nasty shrew telling him to behave. But this is from her perspective, so it's a nice take. And again, if you have to study, like, mythology and stuff for class, this is a great way to kind of get some of that information in a bit of an easier format. Plus the art's really nice and very colorful in this one. The one before was a little like same color palette throughout the whole thing. Light blues, some yellow, kind of just basic sketches. This is a little more detailed. I greatly enjoyed this one. And there's some of the other ones that looks like most of the major gods, they've got them. You can always call and see which ones we've got. Alright, our last two graphic novels are two different takes on Arthurian legends, which, let me tell you, is one of my favorite things. So, a little background. Like, if anybody tries to get on you about correct Arthurian legend, inform them that it is ye old fan fiction, and everybody just always made up whatever they wanted. And also, a fun thing I learned in my British Lit class, or maybe it was somewhere else, is depending on who that particular legend is focused on changes King Arthur's personality. So if it's focused on him and what he's doing, he's this great, strong king, very active and whatever's going on, and just wonderful. But if it's focused like on one of his knights instead, usually he's portrayed as a little bit weaker, maybe more passive, just depending on who the author is trying to focus on. The first one I've got is Excalibur, which I'd actually read before. This is a different take. It starts when Arthur is young, before he becomes king. Again, since it's focused on Arthur, he's a very dynamic and strong figure. It's really interesting. Merlin is in this one, because sometimes he's not. Sometimes he goes on vacation, I guess. Everybody needs one. But it's really fun because, like, talks about him being hidden, and he goes to Avalon to train before he pulls out the sword from the stone. So it was a really interesting take on it, and it actually goes like it starts you before Arthur becomes king and ends like after he has died and gets to go back to Avalon. So that was that one. And then our last one is about Yvain, which I think is how you pronounce that. The Knight of the Lion, which is one of Arthur's knights. So Arthur plays a very minor role in this. But Yvain is one of the knights, and it follows his story as he goes to save this beautiful woman. Oh, no, that's not it. That's not it. That's a different one. That's the problem, is they all kind of blur together after a while. He goes on so many adventures in this one. He does end up with a lion, and it's pretty fun because it's kind of like the Greek myths about the heroes where they have to complete like so many trials before they can actually live like a happy life. And some of it is also him learning to be happy just like at home with his wife, instead of having to go and do all these great feats and be recognized. So it was a really fun book. And the art is gorgeous in this one. I think the art in this one was my favorite. Very vivid, very just fun. Alright, now that the books are out of the way, it's time for craft. This month we are doing sensory bottles, so the picture's not great, but this is the one I have pre-made. So it's the bottles where you've got the glitter and all the stuff suspended in liquid, and it's very soothing to watch, I'm not gonna lie. After I made this, we kind of passed it around the office and we all just shook it and looked at it for a little bit. I found a really easy way to make it. All you need is a bottle. I have glass bottles because it meant I had an excuse to drink my kombucha. Water, clear hand soap. I have just cheap Walmart hand soap. You could probably use a different color and that might turn it a color. I haven't tested it yet, but I kind of want to. And then glitter and beads or whatever you want to put in it. Essentially, if it can fit through the mouth of the bottle and you feel like it would be fun to watch it swirl around, you should try it. So I have a few different kinds of glitter. You want different like sizes of glitter. So I've got some fine, some chunky, and then I had the great idea. Last one I put beads in, but this one I'm going to put some of our various colored beans in. And I will say, my original one, the water looks red. It was not that way when I first made it, so some of the color must have come off the glitter, so be warned. You may end up with a color you did not intend. So the nice thing is it's also really easy. You want to start with a little bit of water in your bottle. The more water, the sort of looser it will be, and the more stuff will swirl around and faster it will settle and that kind of stuff. The more soap, the longer it's going to stay suspended. You can also use glitter glue, which would probably help with the whole suspension and like viscosity of it. The original article said to do warm water, but obviously I've been sitting here talking to you, so even if it was warm, it would not be anymore, but I think we'll be fine. I'll just shake it really, really well. So then the nice thing is you just put in your glitter. So you watch me. I should have bought a funnel. I'm going to end up with glitter everywhere, and I apologize to everyone who is going to have to live with glitter everywhere for like the next, lifetime, because you never get rid of glitter, ever. So much easier if I could pour this. I mean, I understand wanting to like limit it slightly, but at the same time, I'd like to be able to actually get it out of the container. So I'm just going to put a good amount of each glitter in. Like, so far I've done 2. And you can see there's a little bit. It likes to float. we'll fix that. Just gonna put a good bit. That glitter does not want to come out of the container. Little cooperation is all I ask, but like the computer, I don't think the glitter likes me. There we go, that one's working better. That's good. The real fight is going to be when I start putting the beans in, because last time with the beads, I ended up with beads everywhere because I did not get a funnel. And even though I had one sitting right there, I was like, it's fine. I'll just pick up the beads later. So, I have a fair amount of glitter. Not like a ton, but enough to make it look fun. Put however much glitter your heart desires or you have on hand or you can get your hands on. And then I'm just going to put in a handful or so of the beads. I'm not picky about the color. I'm just going to put a bunch in, actually. So I try not to get them everywhere. And then I've got my beans, my glitter, everything. And then you're just going to take your soap and fill it the rest of the way up. The original article said to fill it with no gaps, but on the one I already made, I left a little bit of air at the top, and it's kind of nice because then you get bubbles in it, and I like that, so I'm going to do the same thing with this one because I think it's fun. And then once you're done, you can seal the lid with like hot glue or super glue. I haven't because we're all adults in the office, so hopefully nobody's going to take the lid off and dump it or try to drink it. But if there's small children around, you might seal it just in case, especially if you're kind of attached or you have siblings like mine who just do things because they can. So this is what it looks like after I've added the soap and everything. You can kind of almost see how like the water is floating on top and the soap is all gone to the bottom because, you know, soap is denser than water, at least this soap is. Then we're just going to shake. And ta-da! You have a nice sensory bottle. This one's a little different. Ta-da! As always, I will link to the original article where I've got my instructions below the video, and I will list the books. I don't have any like bonus reads this month because thank goodness with graphic novels I could actually get through them all this month. Again, don't forget about summer reading. Next month, since it's September and it's kind of like, you know, back to school, all of our books are going to take place at schools. I haven't picked any yet, so this should be a really fun adventure for me. There'll probably be some fantasy. I know at least one that's a mystery. I'll try to get a good mix of things so that it's not all like Gossip Girl or Fairy School or something. And that's all for this week, guys. If you have any comments about the books I've chosen or like graphic novels you really enjoy, please put them below. If you have some recommendations for books that takes place at school, besides Harry Potter, we all know that one. We all love it. We're going to move on. Got to find some new stuff. Leave those below. And as always, have fun and keep reading. Bye, guys.